Welcome to Back to Code. Today we're going to do a simple lesson of Unity and C Sharp. We're going to select an editor for Unity where we are going to write our code in. We're going to understand the different parts of a script, and we're going to understand variables and the different data types we have in C Sharp and in Unity. I recommend one of these three editors. We have Writer, Visual Studio Code, and Visual Studio. Writer, it's very well adjusted for Unity. The only problem that it's not free, so you have to pay for it. But if you're a student, you can apply for a free license. So I'm going to leave in the description a download link for Writer and a link for your free license if you're a student. Then we have Visual Studio Code and Visual Studio. They're pretty similar. The only difference is that Visual Studio Code is more lightweight, and well, Visual Studio is better adapted for Unity, but if you need something more lightweight, you can just use Visual Studio Code. And they're both free. But it really doesn't matter which one you have, they all will be looking very similar. So I'm going to be using Writer, but you will be able to follow along with any of these three. So when you've already downloaded your editor, what you will have to do is to set it as your default editor in Unity. To do that, just go to Edit, Preferences, External Tools, and here I have Writer, so I'm leaving that. But if not, you have anything you want here. Now, let's create our first script. To do this, you have two ways, or you can just right-click here, create C# script, or here you can go to your game object that are the ones that are in the hierarchy. Anything that is in the hierarchy will be a game object. So just go to your hierarchy and add a component, and you can just write the name of a script, and here you will be able to create a new script. The majority of the scripts will be attached to a game object, so that's why you can just create a script from here from a game object. But let's first start by doing one just from the project, and it won't be attached to anything. So we do C# script, and let's call it my first script. Now to open it, just double click on it and it will open on your default editor. So here you will notice some parts. You will have class my first script. This is just like a name that you will be able later to call it easily. Mono behavior means that this script is going to be attached to a game object. So if you have this mono behavior here, it means that the script has to be attached to a game object to work. Then you have here this start and update. These are functions. The functions will always have this form. It will be what it will return. It will have a name and these parentheses. This word void means it won't return anything, and this is just a name. You can put anything, and I will later explain what you can put in these parentheses. So start and update are both functions reserved by Unity. Everything that is put in start will be run as soon as you put play in your game. And here, everything that is inside update will be run every frame of your game. So to understand this better, we will do a simple thing that is print. So when this function print, what it does, it literally prints here. I will show you it will print here in the console anything you want, a message. So here we can put start. So you just write a message between quotation marks. You can write literally anything. What this means is that at the start of the game, in the console, start will be printed. And here, print in each frame of the game, update will be printed. So let's just try this so you understand what is start, and what's update. For this script to work, it has to be attached to a game object. I'm just going to create an empty game object and just call it game object. And I'm going to attach my first script to it. As soon as I put play, let's just show the console here. When I put play, you see start is called first, and then update is called each frame in the game. So variables. Variables are used mostly to save data in your script. There are many data types for your variables. So there are ints, that these are whole numbers, negative and positive. So 1, 2, 3, -2, -4, they're all int. The int means integer, but we write it as int. Then we have double. They're the ones that you write like 4.5, 5.6, and all those. They're the ones that are written with a point, decimal point. Then we have the bool type, that this is basically true and false. So there are only two bool values. It's true and false. Then you have a string, that is what we wrote in our print function. It's a word, it's a character, it's a phrase, it's whatever you want. You can write spaces, anything you want between quotation marks, that's a string. So all these are from C Sharp, and there are many more, but these are the most common ones. And then you have Unity data types, and I just put these two from example, but there are many others too. Game objects are the ones that are in the hierarchy. So all these are game objects. And transform, or if you look here in the inspector, each game object has this component here, transform, that it's basically, it has the information about the position of the game object, the rotation, the scale, and every game object has this component. Every single component that you see here, camera, audio, listen, all these are data types in Unity. Let's start with int. What is an int? An integer. To write a variable, what you do is first write the data type, int. Then you write a name you want to give. Let's just call it age. And here you just write the value of it, 40. Here automatically writer, that is the editor I'm using, auto-completed private here. I will later explain about this, don't worry, but there's no problem with just writing this, int age equals 40. So that's a variable. Now, what you can do with this, we can print age. It's a variable, it's something that we have stored in our script. So we can do print age. There we go. Look how I didn't put any quotation marks on this, because when I put quotation marks, I'm just saying this is a string that I want you to write. And if I don't put quotation marks, I'm saying this is a variable I want you to write. And I want you to write the value of the variable. Let's see what happens when I put play. So here you can see in the console, it says start, and then it says 40, and then all the updates. So what happened here? Everything is done in order. So if I say first print start and then print the age, that's what will happen. Let's do other types of variables. We said we have int, we have double. I can say a length, and this can be 4.5. If we want to print our length, what we can do is mix strings with variables. How do we do this? You can use quotation marks and put, for example, I want to first show the age. So age equals, you close your quotation marks and add a plus sign. And then you put the age variable. Then you add a plus sign again and you say, now I want comma, and now the length. equals, and you put length. So here it's saying, okay, write age and then write whatever is the value of age, then write length and put whatever the value of length is. So here will be 4.5. Now if we put play, we have age equals 40 and length equals 4.5. What is this about private and the opposite is public? So I recommend always having a private, always putting private in your variables. What it means is that the only ones that can access these variables are the ones that are inside of these brackets. If you're not inside of this bracket, then you won't be able to access these variables. You can also change the value of these variables. We want now the age to be 45. So how do you assign a value? You just put age equals 45. And let's see if we changed it. So now if we print the age, so if we put age equals, let's put new age equals, and we see what age as a variable has, and we go to play mode, you will see that first it print age equals 40 and length equals 4.5. And then it says new age equals 45. So the age was changed. You can do just the same with length. You can put now 3 or 3.4 and it will be updated. Always when writing in C sharp, you see that I'm always finishing with this semicolon. So when you write anything, you just, at the last part, you just put a semicolon and that's it. Many times the editor, that's why it's good to have an editor. If I don't write it, then you see here a red line appears and it's telling me, hey, there's something's not right. It shows that there's something wrong. I want my age now to be one more than it was before. Age is 40 in this moment, and I'm going to add 1. So what's this doing? It's saying, okay, I want 40 plus 1. So let's see what it writes. So now you can see here it says first age equals 40 and then new age equals 41. Let's complete the other data types that I told you about. So you will have bool, let's call it is animal, and say false. So well, for bools, you not only have false, but you will always also will be able to have true, and those two will be the only options you'll have. Let's leave it in false. And then you can have string, that is what we've been working all along, that it's, we can call it name, and this is, for example, back to code. And then all these are C# variables, right? C# data types. Now let's do data types that are specific to Unity. This is like game object. We can say like a ball, for example. So notice that I'm not putting ball equals nothing. That's because there's two ways to initialize a variable. You can do it as soon as you're declaring it. So this is declaration of a variable. So you can be declaring a variable and initializing it at the same time. That is this case. Or you can declare it and initialize it whenever you're going to use it. So you can go here and say, okay, my name is Lucas. So you can initialize it whenever, but the important thing is that you initialize it before you use it. So we have a game object ball and a transform ball transform. Something you can do in Unity is to initialize variables through your project, through Unity. So how do we do this? To make it available, you have to add these brackets before the variable and put serialized field. So let's add it to everything so you can see it. Let's not add it to these two so you can see the difference. Now if we go to our game object, you can see, okay, if it's a bool, here you will have a true false with just a tick. It's really easy. And you can initialize it as whatever you want. Here you have the name. The default value is the one you set in the script, but you can change it. You can say, okay, now it's Fred. And for your game object, you can just drag and drop a game object, and there you go. You can also do it for the transform one. Let's do it also. And you can also drag and drop a game object, and it will get the component that is a transform and put it here. So you see here it says game manager transform, the transform of the game manager. So if we go here, it will be getting this transform. To keep with the ball example, let's first create here a game object that will be called ball. And now, yes, we just drag and drop our ball game object and drag and drop our ball transform. And now let's go to a script and let's print stuff. Let's see how we access these variables because it's a little bit different. So as always, we write print. And here you can put for the game object ball and click dot. And you can access all its properties. For example, you can access its name. This name will be what you can see here. So if you go to your ball, and this is the name. And you can access different stuff. You can access its transform. So because every game object has a transform component, you will be accessing, because every game object has a transform component as soon as you create it, so you can just access the transform of your game object directly. So if I put ball transform dot position, I'm getting from the ball the component that is the transform and there the position. We're getting this vector here. We will have our x, y, and z values. So let's just print different stuff. Let's do print ball. So here we'll have ball equals there plus. That's how you write. Now another print ball name. How do we get its name? We go to ball, look for its properties, and put name. And let's print its position. To do that, you go to ball, transform, position. Actually, so it's easier for you to understand, let's print dollpot.name, ball.transform.position. And notice that right now I'm not using ball transform. I can even comment this. To comment lines, you just write these two and it's commented and it's like it's not there. And here in our game object, we have our variable ball initialized with the game object ball here. And let's put play. Here you will see, okay, when we access ball, it prints ball Unity engine game object. What it does when it's a game object, it will print basically the name and then after that what data type it is. If we print our ball game object dot name, then it will get the name of the game object. If we print ball dot transform dot position, it will print our position of our game object. So That would be an X, Y, and Z. If we look here, it's the same X, Y, and Z. The same way that we used transform from our game object, we'll be able to use transform from our ball transform. So if we go here, print ball transform, and we write dot, then we will have all the properties we can get from the transform. You can have the forward vector, so which way is forward for that game object. The parent that says in the hierarchy, objects can be children of others and parents too. So here, for example, we have the background is a child from canvas, and canvas is a parent from background. Here in the same, we have the play, and there's a text. Text is a child of play. Play is a parent of text. And at the same time, play is a child of canvas, and canvas is a parent of play. So that's how it works. If you put ball transform, that this is a transform value, and you put parent, here you will be able to, it tells you what data type you will be getting. You will get a transform. So you will get the transform from the parent. I'm going to leave a link in the description. All the properties you can access from a game object and all the properties you can access from a transform data type. So for now, let's print the position. So you can see that writing ball transform dot position will give me the exact same value as writing ball dot transform dot position. So we go to the inspector here, and let's initialize our ball transform. So we want it to be the transform from the ball. So here we drag and drop, and it will get this transform. And if we put play, so here you will be able to see, again, it prints the ball, and it says the name of the ball and the data type, the ball name, it prints ball, and the position, accessing it from starting from a game object, and here the position starting from the transform directly. So now here you can see that ball.transform is just the same as starting from the transform and putting position. That's all for today with variables and data types. Subscribe to watch the next video, which will be studying functions, arrays, conditions, if else, and loops.